Good morning. It's another beautiful Sunday. My name is Janene Cummings, and I am so happy to be here with each one of you. Welcome to Unity of Olympia. All right, let's come in out of the rain. Whether it's sunny where you're at or whether it's raining, we're just going to take a little time to come in out of the rain and rejoice together. Here we go. Come in out of the rain and let's renew our hearts together. Come in out of the rain and let's renew. Come in out of the rain and let's rejoice in love together. Oh yes, come in out of the rain. Let's do it even bigger. Come in out of the rain and let's renew our hearts together. Come in out of the rain and let's renew. Come in out of the rain and let's rejoice in love together. Oh yes, come in out of the rain. All right, one more time. Here we go. Happy Sunday. Come in out of the rain and let's renew our hearts together. Yes. Come in out of the rain and let's renew. Come in out of the rain and let's rejoice in love together. Oh yes, come in out of the rain. That's right. Oh yes, come in out of the rain.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Janene. It's a very short list of ways I would rather begin my day than with Janene's music. Thank you so much. My name is Greg Saltis, and I want to welcome all of you to Unity of Olympia's live online service, knowing that wherever you are in our church together with us spiritually so that we may come together in prayer. At Unity, we believe in a philosophy that is a positive, love-based spirituality that helps us to become models of positive living.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true stuff, isn't it? Hey, at Unity, we consider ourselves to be culturally Christian and spiritually unlimited. And the Unity movement honors all faith traditions and all paths to God. Welcome this morning, and please join me in our opening prayer. Spirit, we open our hearts, minds, every cell of our bodies to an awareness of the light and love that moves in and through us. We embrace this awareness. We welcome the presence of God into our consciousness. As we do so, we hold all people and all life in that same awareness. We recognize the essence of the divine moving in and through all of life. We're so grateful for the opportunity to be together in this expression. We're grateful for the opportunity to truly know the presence of the divine within. We pray for all of those around the globe who may be experiencing anything less than joy, light, and love in this moment, that they may have comfort experience peace, and know the love of God within them. We pray knowing that this is so. Thank you, God. Hey, you know what? This morning I want to light this candle. I know it's not on screen yet, but I do wait until I get to you so that I light the candle that represents that divine nature shining within you, within me, within all of life. As a symbol, it is powerful.
So this morning, as we move on to the daily word, I'm happy to introduce Linda Eyrig from the prayer team, who will read us the daily word today. Linda?
Thank you. Today's daily word is world peace. I contribute to peace in the world. When I learn of conflict in my community or in the world, my response may be frustration, sadness, or anger. If I have those feelings, I remember that I am more than merely human. I am a living expression of God, heir to all that God is. I use my divine faculties of wisdom, understanding, and love to create the abiding peace that is my birthright. Centered in divine peace, I realize that every person is as much an expression of God as I am. As differences dissolve in a way that transcends human understanding, I come to know oneness with all the world's people. I let this realization shape my response to every person and every situation. In an awareness of my oneness with all people, my thoughts, words, and actions contribute to peace in the world. From John chapter 17, verse 22, the glory that you have given me, I have given them, so that they may be one as we are one. I contribute to peace in the world. I invite you to affirm that with me. I contribute to peace in the world, and so it is.
Thank you so much, Linda. This is the time in our service where you can join us in an active way by affirming our statement of faith, and I invite you to join me with "There is only one." Together, please. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God the good, all power, presence, and wisdom. It is in God that we live, move, and have our being.
Hey, thanks, Greg. Well, good morning, everybody. We live, move, and have our being in God. I'm going to say that again. We live, move, and have our being in God. I'm going to read from Acts. This is where this saying comes from. This is Acts chapter 17, verses 28 through 29. And the reading that I'm going to do is from the Message. The God who made the world and everything in it, this master of sky and land, doesn't live in custom-made shrines or need the human race to run errands for him, as if he couldn't take care of himself. He makes the creatures don't make him. Starting from scratch, he made the entire human race and made the earth hospitable, with plenty of time and space for living, so we could seek after God and not just grope around in the dark, but actually find him. He doesn't play hide and seek with us. He's not remote. He's near. We live and move in him. Can't get away from him. One of your poets said it well. We're the God created. Well, if we are the God created, it doesn't make a lot of sense to think we could hire a sculptor to chisel a God out of stone for us, does it? It's interesting how the most recent translation from the oldest documents that we have come up with a different understanding for us than the translations, say, from King James Version of the Bible. We're the God created. We live and move in God. Now that's the same. Because the people of old, just like the people now, find their experience of God, of the divine, of the most high expression at all times near, not far away, not in a temple, and not in a book either. It's not an experience that comes out of something else. It's our own personal experience. So today my lesson is called, Could It Be True? Could it be true that you are living and moving and having your being in God itself? That everything that you do, that you think, that you say, that you experience is an experience in God? This is the question. This month, the Unity World Headquarters has put out a monthly theme for us, as they normally do. And this month's theme is curiosity. Curiosity. I live in a world of wonder. This is the affirmation that they suggest. And I love this because what it invites us into is the thing that traditionally, for a lot of people who have history in religion, they were told not to do. I'm inviting you into, and I believe that Unity is inviting you into, and that even the oldest the people who experienced God in all of its different forms did. It was to be in the question, to be curious. That I really enjoy that last line from Acts. Well, if we are the God created, it doesn't make a lot of sense to think we could hire a sculptor to chisel a God out of stone for us, does it? And the us here is in italics, meaning that because we are the expression of the divine, why would we look for it someplace else? Why would we create something and put it out there? And yet we do, don't we? So this opportunity, let's take it to be in the question. So Unity, we have these 5 basic principles that most of us agree to. Not everybody in our movement agrees to these 5 basic principles, but I do. And what I find is that by agreeing to these, my life is more peaceful. Today's daily word is peace, and so I want to talk about how being in the question, engaging curiosity, asking, is it true, can lead to an experience of greater peace and peacemaking in the world. So our first basic principle is this. It's that there is one power and one presence. Now just go ahead and let that sink in for a second. One power, one presence, that you are not a power separate from. And that there is no experience of separation. The second principle is that because there's only one power and one presence, that means that you are a part of it. And of course, this is not new. This is ancient wisdom, ancient understanding of who we are. So could it be true? That's the invitation today. Could it be true that you really are an expression of the divine? I want to talk about the story of Moses. When he was a shepherd before he went back and became the leader of his people, he was out in the wilderness, and he was shepherding the sheep that belonged to his father-in-law. His father-in-law was also a priest. And out in the wilderness, he's wandering along with his sheep, And suddenly he sees this burning bush, fire in the bush, but it was not consumed by the fire. He noticed, and the first thing he heard when he asked, what is this? Was this voice of God. You're standing on holy ground. Remove your sandals. Don't come any closer. But I love it that that's the first thing he asked. What is this? Then from this burning bush comes this long recitation of who he is and what he's been seeing in the people who have been suffering in Egypt. And he says, I'm going to use you to bring these people out of Egypt. And of course, he says, how can I do that? I'm not the one. I'm not the one. God says, yes, you are. You're the one. This voice out of this burning bush that does not get consumed by fire says, you are the one. They go through this long plan, and then Moses says, well, when I go to these people and I tell them what you've told me, and they say to me, well, who said that? Then the voice comes back. I am who I am. Now, I want to talk just a minute about this story. I mean, that was a short synopsis. I didn't want to read the whole thing. But there's several ways of looking at this story, right? The story can be looked at historically. It can be looked at critically, literally, or as a parable for literature. One of the things that we do in Unity is we invite stories to be real, to be meaningful to us in the here and now. What can this possibly give me? What understanding of who I am in the world and my relationship to God can this help to clarify for me? So that's what I'm going to go to. Moses represents you and me. This is our experience. And Moses being out in the wilderness, tending his father-in-law's sheep represent thoughts. This is a practice of understanding that as Moses, when we identify with this experience of holding other people's thoughts, people in authority, that we just accept them and then we tend to them and we let them live, we feed them, we water these thoughts that belong to others. Suddenly we're met with the truth of our very being. In the ordinary, in the everyday, in the bush, we see this fire. We have an experience of the divine. And suddenly we realize that we have to change our understanding, shoes, feet, sandals. What we recognize those to be is our understanding, the understanding that we already have, that which grounds us. And we lose our shoes. We give them up voluntarily for a greater relationship with this fire, which has been long seen as a form of purification in the ordinary, because this is where God lives, is in the ordinary, the divine, the sacred, the holy. It's in every day. So in this story, God says, I want to save your people. And what I see that as is the representation that within us we have holy and sacred thoughts, emotions, beliefs, waiting to come into expression. All it is our agreement. That's all it takes, is our agreement to move into an awareness and a living in and through and having our being with God itself. with the sacred, with the holy, with the divine. I'll tell you, this is one of the reasons I love my job, is because it's an invitation to you and to me to live there, to be there. So the idea that we come to this place by questioning what we already believe, by questioning what's going on, and is it true? This is something that we can use. It's using curiosity as a tool for growth, as a tool for spiritual development and emotional development. Paul Hasselbeck says that he's one of the teachers at Unity Institute. He's also a Unity minister, one of my teachers when I was in seminary. He says that there are 4 levels of consciousness through the spiritual lens. That there's a victim, a victor, vessel, and verity. And I know that we all know exactly what victim consciousness is, because that seems to be the easiest place to go when things are not going the way we want them to go. We go into this idea of victim consciousness. Moving into the next level of consciousness, victor consciousness still keeps us in that place of win, lose, but it's better. It's possible. It tells us that that our mind can leave, and our life experience will change when we leave that victim consciousness. Vessel, of course, is that experience of inviting God to live in and through us, opening to wisdom from within and understanding. And verity is the true awareness that we have our being in God, that we are the divine in expression, that this is our life purpose. Whatever the doing is out in the world, our life purpose is to allow the divine to live as us in our lives. So, is it true? Can it be true for you? Can you be the anointed one unto your own life? Now, I know that's true for you, and sometimes I know that's true for me. Sometimes it's a challenge. Our experience with the world right now is one of victim consciousness. Now, many of us, and I know I'm included in this, and maybe you are too, have moved into a place of victor consciousness. That we've figured out ways to be in this experience of being at home, of living with a threat to life, the coronavirus threat that is out there, of living with that as victors. That we have found ways to feed the victory within us, that we are survivors. And there's nothing wrong with that, because the way that it works is that whatever consciousness we start at, we can't skip all the way to the next, to the highest level of verity. We have to work our way out of it. So I want to talk about one tool for moving into this new way of thinking and being, of letting go of somebody else's sheep thoughts, and moving into owning the people thoughts that already are within us. There's a triangle that represents a personal development model. Maybe some of you have heard this. The dreaded drama triangle is one that almost all of us are familiar with. The dreaded drama triangle says that whenever two people are in relationship, that oftentimes there's tension, and the easiest way to relieve that tension is to bring in a person. Now, there's no blame in this. There's just an understanding that that is in our human nature, the way that we operate. From the unskillful or less mature place, we find ourselves playing three different roles. We can play the role of victim. We can play the role of persecutor or bad guy. That's the role I hate. Or we can play the role of rescuer. And that's the role that my mind, my consciousness has a history of really feeling good in. And I'm guessing you might feel good in the rescuer role as well. And that these three roles are so common. These are the roles that end up with creating gossip and pain in relationships. They create havoc in churches. There are lots of stories around churches whose community has been infected with this sort of behavior. And so there's an alternative to this called TED. It's the empowerment dynamic. The empowerment dynamic suggests that whenever we find ourselves in any one of those three roles and we come to the awareness that we are playing one of those roles, that we ask ourselves the question, is it true? Now, for me, my suggestion, because we are a spiritual community and because we do believe that we are expressions of the divine, at least on some level for most of us, then we have to ask ourselves, is this coming from the highest and best? Is this from the true people, or is this from the sheep? The sheep, the consciousness that comes from other places. So we move into the empowerment dynamic by asking, if I'm a victim here, if I'm seeing myself as a victim, how can I see myself as a co-creator? And what is it that I really want to create in this? And then how would I create that? If we see ourselves in the role of persecutor, the bad guy, somebody may have accused us of doing something really wrong and painful. How can we see ourselves as a challenger? Inviting them into being the truth of who they are. And then where the role of rescuer comes in, that's replaced with the role of the coach. So for me, in my experience of our world right now, I have had thoughts of victimization around being home and not being with each of you in the same room. I recognize those as sheep, and I invite in, how do I want to be in this if I am a child of God, an expression of the divine? If I truly am a co-creator of my experience, if I move into the creator role instead of the victim role, then what is it I want to help create? The challenger in this situation for all of us, of course, is this threat, this virus, or perhaps for you more specifically, it's being asked to stay home. The rescuer becomes the coach. For me, that becomes the people that I lean on to tell me the truth when I forget. And it becomes a practice of prayer. The rescuer becomes, is made known to me through turning it over to the divine. Being in the question is the way that I get to shift from one place to another. I get to ask the questions. Can it be true that I'm a co-creator in this? I didn't create the virus. I didn't create this current situation out there, but I can certainly create this with you right now. You're creating this with me right now. This is another path to peace. This creates an opportunity for us to move into a consciousness of peace. And I swear, when I am creating a consciousness of peace, it affects others, because consciousness is contagious, just in case you haven't noticed. You know, in our world today, there's a lot of research about how we think, psychology, positive psychology, and there's research into curiosity as well. There's many authors and many ideas about what does it mean to be curious. One of the themes that has come into light is the idea or the suggestion that there is within every single one of us two tendencies. One tendency is called a conservative tendency. It's made up of instincts for self-preservation, self-aggrandizement, and saving energy. I would suggest that might be our ego self. The other one is this expansive tendency made up of instincts for exploring, for enjoying novelty and risk, the curiosity that leads to creativity. Lives here. Now, I know that for some of us, we might see ourselves not necessarily as creative people. But the truth is, we are. We are always creating our experience of the world. And I want to invite you into curiosity as a tool for improving your experience, for having a greater experience of peace in all things. I want to read a quote from Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Earth's crammed with heaven, and every common bush afire with God. But only he who sees takes off his shoes. God bless you. I'm so glad to be co-creating our lives together today.
Oh, thank you, Reverend Terry. That was beautiful. Oh, I needed those words today. I don't know about you guys. I bet you did too. All right, let's get comfortable. Let's get into that meditative space and even close our eyes, and we're going to invite the angels in. I'm inviting my angels, my angels, my angels. I'm inviting my angels to comfort me right now. Sing with me. I'm inviting my angels, my angels, my angels. I'm inviting my angels to comfort me right now. Let's do it again. I'm inviting my angels, my angels, my angels. I'm inviting my angels to comfort me right now. time, nice and soft. I'm inviting my angels, my angels, my angels. I'm inviting my angels to comfort me right now. Ooh, So let's deepen that space. Let's scan the body. Make sure we're nice and comfortable. Let's call on a sweet softening. Let's take 2 really deep, slow breaths. And as we deepen our relaxation, let's invite curiosity. Let's release all judgment and expectation, knowing we cannot get this wrong. And as we enter our heart, wrapped in our beautiful curiosity, let's feel where we may be holding on to fear or guilt. Maybe we've been blown around by winds of anger and frustration. Just feel into it. As curious observers, let's be our own living, loving witness. A witness extending unending grace. Feel that. Unending grace. I want you to dig just a little bit deeper. We're going to scoop up just a little bit more of that unending grace. We're going to use that to baptize that fear, any grief, any loneliness, any guilt or shame. We're going to baptize that in a river of compassionate understanding. We have that option, we have that choice every day and every moment. I want you to repeat after me. In this moment, I trade the desire of perfection for unending self-grace, for unending wonder. Let's say that one more time. In this moment, I trade the desire of perfection for unending self-grace, for unending wonder. Now let's take one more peek back into that inner sanctuary, that beautiful heart that we have, that we are. And I want you to seek out those places that hold your courage. Hone in on your depth of compassion. It's in there. That innate sense of divinity. Let your mind rest in the wonder of you. Not in the perfection, but the pure majesty that is you. And I want you to turn that dial up. Turn it all the way up. And I want you to invite that light to shine so brightly that it blinds all harsh self-judgment, all judgment of others. This is who we are. This is who we are. Let's say it one more time together. In this moment, I trade the desire of perfection for unending self-grace, for unending wonder. And let's just bask, just for a little bit, in the love that we are, the light and the grace that we are, in the silence. Let's invite our angels one more time. I'm inviting my angels, feel this, my angels, my angels. I'm inviting my angels to comfort me right now. Ooh, let's do it one more time. I'm inviting my angels, my angels, my angels. I'm inviting my angels to comfort me right now.
We know that each of you today are here by divine online appointment and not by accident. You had to log in. That wasn't an accident, and we're happy to have you here. All of us on today's worship team want to welcome each of you to this new form of service that we trust will feed your spirit during these most unusual times. And I just want to add quickly that much like the services that happen in our sanctuary on Fern Street, these online services always have people behind the scenes. Each of you have the opportunity to see and hear Reverend Terry, Janene, Linda, and me, but it doesn't just happen. We have a person that I would call the producer, director, I'm not sure the right title, but that is the person that shifts the screens to the appropriate person as we move through the service. And today that person is Deb Walter. We've also had Karen Reddick do this, so these are the behind the scene people. So when I say all of us on the worship team welcome you, that would include the people you don't see. Together, we can continue to hold the high watch for the good of our church, our planet, and for everyone on it. Today's announcements, of course, will come during our Zoom Sunday Fellowship experience, and we invite you to join us. The link and the password were sent to you in the e-news that came out yesterday. So grab that cup of coffee or that whatever you might have and bring it with you, and join us at 10:45. Now, today's Zoom session is actually being hosted by Michael and Sandy Petty. So for those of you who are just thinking, gee, I sure wish I could be doing more volunteer work for the church, there are still opportunities available, as Michael and Sandy are demonstrating right now, or will be shortly. Also want to mention that Lori Preston will be the person who will be hosting the Facebook portion. If you're not on our email list, you simply can register on unityofolympia.org. First of all, you will want to click on the media tab and then go to the newsletter tab, and you'll find a place to register on the left side of the screen. Now, at this moment, all of us are very much focused on our well-being, both physically and spiritually, and I really want to encourage each of you to include our spiritual home's well-being as well. When you make a conscious contribution to support Unity of Olympia, you are investing in your spiritual well-being and helping to provide services for those who may be needing our message right now. If you are not an electronic contributor already, please continue to support the church by going to unityofolympia.org, and you can make your contribution there. The other possibility is you can text your gift to 360-234-2669. Now I ask you to consider your gift, and let's bless it with divine love. Together, please. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Open to the sacred richness of our infinite source, we as Unity of Olympia joyfully co-create unlimited prosperity right now. Thank you, God.
Thank you, Greg. It's such an honor to be on this team. I love Sundays. All right, let's remind ourselves, who are we anyway? We know who we are. I am a living blessing everywhere I go. I am a living blessing, spreading peace and love in this world. And all I do is breathe. And all I do is breathe. And all I do is breathe. And I am a living blessing in this world. And you are, and I thank you. And you are a living blessing everywhere you go. You are a living blessing, spreading peace and love in this world. And all you do is breathe. And all you do is breathe. And all you do is breathe. And you are a living blessing in this world. Let's sing this even bigger. And we are a living blessing. Feel that everywhere we go. We are a living blessing, spreading peace and love in this world. And all we do is breathe. And all we do is breathe. And all we do is breathe. And we are a living blessing in this world. And all we do is breathe. 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 And we are a living blessing in this world. That's right. And we are a living blessing in this world. You know that. We are a living blessing in this world. What a blessing it is to be here with you guys today.
And what a blessing you are. Thank you so much, Janene, and thank you for joining us this morning. I also want to extend my gratitude for your generosity toward the Thirst and Hunger Walk. You know, they had a goal of raising $20,000 to help feed people who are needy, are having an experience of lack in this world. And we were just one of the churches that participated in the Thirst and Hunger Walk fundraising campaign. And I want to report to you that we raised $1,735 towards their $20,000 goal. And they are almost at $24,000. So thank you for helping to make that possible. Thank you for participating with us in helping to feed those people who are in the greatest need. And there's going to be another opportunity to do that coming up. We have decided to take on delivering lunches to the Martin Way shelter here in Olympia on Wednesdays, once a week through the month of May. This Wednesday is already taken care of. The Spiritual Explorers group has stepped up and made commitments to provide all of the food that 30 people will need for lunch. And would love to have you participate in that too. We'll have more information coming out about that soon. So keep an eye out in your e-blast in the coming week. Hey, let's pray. Please join me. The light of God surrounds us. We are the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. We are the love of God. The power of God protects us. We are the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. We are the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is. And so it is. God bless you. Thank you for joining us.